All right, it's a new week in this penultimate month of the year, November. Welcome to today's edition of our show. And as always, we are glad you could join us. This is Political Spectrum coming to you live from Uyo, the state's capital. And I remain your host, Onumese Ehinoma Olusegun. Now, first, on the President Tinubu administration's calendar, today is 20th of November 2023, and it marks exactly 177 days of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And this is now 5 months and 25 days as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Nigeria. All right, we're going to be dealing with a lot of issues today at the sub-national level. Of course, you know that all the results are already being churned out across the states, talking about the talking about the court judgments of the most massive petition ever in any election cycle. You would agree with me. A total of 94% of the elections that were conducted at State Assembly, House of Reps, presidential, governorship, and all that had about 94% petition. And then questions are beginning to be raised. Is it that our democracy is not complete if people don't go to court? Or is there a problem with the process, the entire process, that is making people unsatisfied? Those questions have been lingering in the minds of a lot of people. All right, we'll take the first development over towards the end of last week to towards the weekend. We all already know that the Plateau governor was removed. And ever since then, as a result of that, the PDP and the APC have had serious clashes as the appeal court has made the pronouncement. And by statistics now, there is a complaint that it may be the third PDP opposition governor removed in a row. Now, the PDP and the APC party people have clashed seriously on Sunday following the sacking of Governor Caleb Mutfwang of Plateau State by the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja. Now, in a judgment on Sunday, a 3-member panel of the Court of Appeal led by Justice Elfrida Williams-Dawodu ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission to withdraw the certificate of return issued to Governor Mutfwang and issue a fresh one to Nentawe Goshwe of the APC, whom the court declared as the valid winner of the March 18th governorship election. Now, Mutfwang was the third opposition governor to be sacked by the Court of Appeal within 3 days. Now, last Thursday, the appellate court nullified the election of another PDP governor, Dauda Lawal of Zamfara State, declaring the governorship election in the state to be inconclusive. And following the day, the same court invalidated the election of Kano State Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf of the New Nigerian People's Party. Worried by the serious losses suffered by their governors and lawmakers at the courts, the PDP Deputy Legal Advisor Okechukwu Osoha declared that the recent court judgments were not in tandem with the law. But the Director of Publicity of the APC, Bala Ibrahim, reposted that it was people who did not understand how the judicial process works that were accusing both the APC and the presidency of trying to turn Nigeria into a one-party state. Now, in the ruling party, APC's impunity is so much, according to him, they try to influence some of these institutions to force their parties on Nigerians. That is the ugly side of it. Also has stressed that most of the recent judgments are not really in tandem with the law. Now, most times the justices come up with technicalities. The court now portrays itself as a court of technicalities and not a court of justice, and it is not too palatable for our system, our country, and democracy. Now, the lawyer noted there is still a window for the party and Mutfwang to appeal the judgment. The people hold the judiciary in high esteem so that confidence should not be eroded. According to them, and I quote, Nigeria is suffering today because most of our institutions are not strong. I believe that our legal system, our courts should stand out. The court should be impartial in their decisions, he admonished. Also, PDP Deputy National Youth Leader Timothy Osadolo alleged that the highest bidders were getting favorable rulings. Some people want to force APC on Nigerians, but we will resist it, according to him. Meanwhile, The NNPP National Auditor Ladipo Johnson described the judgment as part of the judicial rascality that is unfolding, end of quote. But the APC Director of Publicity, Ibrahim, dismissed the allegations that the judiciary was induced by his party. Meanwhile, former Governor of Plateau State and Minister of Labour and Employment, Simon Lalong, has described the judgment as an affirmation of the mandate unanimously given to Nentawe and his running mate, Pam Botmang, by the people of the state. Lalong appealed to the members of the APC and the governor-elect to be magnanimous in victory and consider this joyous moment as a celebration for the entire people of Plateau State who are yearning for good governance, security, and development. Let's take a listen to some of the videos.
Today was about sponsor. Today in the judgment, we did not hear anything about nomination. Everything that was said in this court today was about sponsorship. And of course, we know that when you mention sponsorship, it could be pre-election or post-election. But when you talk about nomination, the courts do not have any jurisdiction to entertain it as a post-election matter. Today in the judgment,
we are very, very happy with the judgment. We listened to it with rapt attention. It covered so many areas. We advise members of the public to please read the judgment first before some people begin to have negative views of it.
All right, we'll be taking some more developments, about the courts and the rulings at the sub-national level. But let's quickly take this one. Still at the sub-national level, we travel to Benue State. And Benue Governor Alia approves over 2 billion naira for vehicles for himself, other government officials, amidst the initial promise that he was going to cut huge costs to ensure the effectiveness of government. Now, Governor Hyacinth, or do I put him as Governor Reverend Hyacinth, or do I put him as Reverend Governor Hyacinth Alia of Benue State, has approved 2.04 billion for the procurement of vehicles for himself, his deputy, House of Assembly members, and other government officials in the state. The financial records of the state obtained on Sunday showed that the money was approved on the 5th of September 2023, and it's only one among several other questionable expenses of the governor, now which has amounted to over 40 billion in 5 months. Now, the document obtained from the highly placed sources partly read 2.7 billion amount paid as measurement certificate number 1 for the construction and rehabilitation of roads within Makurdi metropolis of Benue State, 15.39 kilometers, and the contract was allotted to Triacta Nigeria Limited at 2.7 billion. Excuse me. Now, amount paid as measurement certificates for procurement of fairly used Hummer buses, for palliative measurement and used Toyota Hiluxes 2018-2019 model, vehicles for security purposes, that was allocated to Lajek Engineering Services at 2.04 billion. Now, amount paid based on anticipatory approval for procurement of vehicles for Your Excellency, the Executive State Governor, I'm reading the letter, and the Deputy Governor and members of the State Assembly, government officials in the state. That contract was also, they say processing fee and all relevant taxes amounted to 1.97 billion. Paid for measurement certificate for the construction and rehabilitations of road within Makurdi metropolis of Benue State, 15.3 kilometers. Contract number allocated to Triacta Nigeria Limited. Sources in the state government said the spending keeps coming, despite the governor's initial promise to the people that he would not be wasteful in governance, and that's the surprising part. Now, recent developments have, however, proven that Governor Alia has not been telling people the truth. According to some critics, we're not confirming anything here. Now, I continue to quote the critics. Governor Alia spent whopping amounts in just 4 months in office, awarding fictitious contracts which none is ongoing. Now, between May 29th and September 30th, 2023, Governor Hyacinth Alia of Benue State has received and spent more than 46 billion naira of state resources. Now, prominent among which is the duplication of contracts for the procurement of Hummer buses as palliative measures, the source further revealed. Now, according to the document, earlier also on the 5th of September approved 1.2 billion for the procurement of 100 refurbished Hummer buses for palliative measures and 50 fairly new Hilux 2018-2019 model for other purposes. Now, the company which got the award is allegedly owned by some of the cronies of the governor. But shockingly, on the 28th of September 2023, the earlier government again released 2.236 billion to the company for the procurement of the same refurbished Hummer buses and some fairly used Toyota Hiluxes model vehicles. The number of the vehicles in the third approval was also not specified, although investigations showed that 65 million was paid for the replacement of one 500 kVA JMG generator at the main powerhouse, Government House, Makurdi. As we speak, no response from any Benue State government official as at the time of filing the report, and attempts have been made to reach them at least to defend themselves. Now, here we go. Someone who popularly rode on the mantra and the mandate of cutting cost of governance and showing or demystifying governance, because I remember during the campaign then, when there was a lot of tough issues for Benue, Governor Ayisen made some promises that resonated with the people, and there you have him there now. What are we hearing? All right, it's not also news that the Supreme Court has finally come out with a 22-man list for judicial judges nomination. And those 22 were nominated for Supreme Court elevation. Now, the Federal Judicial Service Commission has submitted a list of 22 justices for the Court of Appeal nominated for elevation to the Supreme Court to the National Judicial Council, also known as NJC. Now, the nominees hailing from various regions in the country were disclosed in an FJSC document on last week. The North Central region had 6 nominees, while the Southwest and South-South regions had 2 nominees each. The Southeast region had 6 nominees, and the Northeast has 2 nominees. This development follows the retirement of Justices Amina Olgi and Mohammed Dajito, and remember that some had died a few years ago. And this reduced the number of 7 justices on the Supreme Court to 10 as we speak. Now, I don't know whether my producer can show the list of the judges that have been nominated for elevation. You have Justice Naoma Uwa, Abia State. You can see the Southeast, 1 from Abia, 2 from Abia, Ebonyi, Imo, Enugu, and the last one being Justice Chioma Nwosu, Iheme, Imo State, also reserved. Now, in the South-South, Honorable Justice Mo Adumain in Bayelsa State was also nominated, and Justice Biobele Georgewell, Rivers State. You have Southwest, Honorable Justice Adewale Abiru from Lagos State, and you have Honorable Justice Olubumi Oyewole, Osun State, has been reserved. So we hope, okay, we have North Central also 6 nominations. We have Northeast 2 nominations. We have Northwest, I think 4 nominations. Justice Muhammad Lawal Shaibu, Honorable Bello Aliu, Honorable Justice Abubakar Sadiq Umar from Kebbi State, and Honorable Justice Abdullahi Mahmoud Bayero from Kano State. All right, those are the current justices that will not only be elevated but will be a part of the Supreme Court Judges Council. Recall that there has been complaints that the total number of judges had depleted till 10 following the deaths of some honorable justices and the retirement of Dajito recently, that made some very, very, very pronounced and very sensitive comments about the deploration of the judicial system and a need to be able to step into it. So congratulations to the NJC, as we expect 22 more people to come and serve and help by their efforts and practice to deepen democratic practices. Now, moving back to the court judgments at state level, we move to Kano State, where the appeal court sacks Kano Governor Abba Yusuf. Now, the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has sacked Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf of Kano State. The panel upheld the verdict of the tribunal led by Justice Oluyemi Akintan Osadebe, which sacked Yusuf on September the 20th. Now, recall that the lower tribunal had declared the candidate of the APC, Nasir Gawuna, as the lawfully elected candidate in the 18th March election. The three-member panel for the judges in the tribunal, led by Oluyemi Osadebe, had ruled in favor of the APC candidate. Now, media reports after the 18th March election, the Independent National Electoral Commission declared that NNPP polled 1,019,000 votes against the APC that had 890 votes to emerge victorious. But the tribunal invalidated over 165,000 ballots thumb-printed in favor of NNPP. The court ruled that the votes were deducted because the ballot papers with which they were cast were not stamped or signed. This rendered the votes invalid according to the tribunal. Now, the tribunal said the petitioner was able to prove the allegation of the invalidity of some of the votes on the grounds that the election was not in compliance with the provisions of the Electoral Act. Now, displeased with the tribunal judgment, Yusuf, in a notice of appeal dated 2nd October 2023, argued that the tribunal erred when it relied on Section 71 and 63 of the Electoral Act 2022 to invalidate 165,000 ballot papers returned in his favor. There was no witness presented by the first respondent to testify as to the use of any of the ballot papers in any polling unit. NNPP argued that the tribunal did not demonstrate in its judgment how it arrived at its decision on 165,000 invalid votes against the appellant. The governor also argued in the ground 20 that the tribunal misdirected itself when it went out of the judicial duties by constituting itself into 1, witness, 2, investigator, and also sat as judges. The ruling is not the last of the judicial pronouncement on the election, as the losing party after the appeal court ruling is constitutionally allowed to appeal to the Supreme Court. Now, the country's highest court is the Supreme Court, and we hope that the final say will be on the electoral dispute. Now, let's listen to some of the counsels and their reactions as to the judgment before we move to Osun State.
The Court of Appeal upheld the decision of the Election Petition Tribunal for the governorship election in Kano State. Of course, as we have stated earlier, that candidate. Of course, we filed a cross appeal on that, and the Court of Appeal agreed with us and disagreed with the tribunal that the tribunal ought to have disqualified Abba Kabir Yusuf as a candidate because he was not validly sponsored, he was not a member of NNPP as at the time of the election. Of course, also, the Court of Appeal agreed with the decision of the tribunal to deduct the 165,000 invalid votes that were cast in favor of NNPP. We have stated it even before we filed the petition that the NNPP did not win by a majority of the valid votes, and also NNPP did not have a valid candidate. Today we have been justified. The Court of Appeal has upheld our argument. All the three appeals filed by Abba Kabir Yusuf, NNPP, and INEC has been dismissed, and of course our cross appeal has been upheld.
Today we are here at the appeal court. Alhamdulillah, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for granting us victory today. You may recall that at the tribunal, it was held that Nasir Gawuna and APC had a valid case, and the election of the governor was cancelled, and the rule in favor of APC was Gawuna as the governor of Kano State. The aggrieved party, that is the government, has appealed the judgment, and today we are here and the judgment has been delivered. The judgment, it is in favor of APC, declaring Nasir Gawuna and Murtala Sulangaru as the governor and deputy respectively. And the tribunal was able to establish that the governor Abba Kabir Yusuf was not a member of MPP, but could not deliver judgment on that. Today, the appeal court has gone further after declaring that Abba was not a member of NPP at the time of election, it has also delivered that he is not entitled to be the governor under that party. In fact, the ruling clearly said that it's a reckless act by the party to sponsor somebody who's not his own member. So today, alhamdulillah, we are very happy. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the people of Kano State, and our leader, the national chairman of APC. We also thank everybody in Nigeria, particularly in Kano. We have been praying very hard for this day, and alhamdulillah, Allah has answered our prayers. Today, all rumors, everything to do with that election has been thrashed, and it has been completely taken, and also a ruling has been delivered.
Today,
you have to belong to our political party. You have to be sponsored by a political party before you contest an election. So the Court of Appeal has ruled that he was not a member. Therefore, the issue of even counting votes did not even arise, because he was not supposed to be a rightful candidate. And also the votes that they have rigged were fished out during the tribunal, and then they were declared null and void.
All that has to be said about the judgment and what have you, our leader has already mentioned it. My main concern now is the expectation of people of Kano State on myself. The expectation of those that have the belief in me, particularly the national chairman, whom I serve as the deputy governor.
All right, there you go. The National Party of the APC, they say he is using baskets to receive all forms of wins from the court. But there's been other arguments that is the ruling party of the day trying to make the Nigerian political terrain a one-party state, because it seems that all the PDP states that their PDP governors had won have, one way or the other, lost all their cases. And according to the critics, it has formed some kind of pattern. Recall that some few weeks ago, I can't remember exactly his name, but one of the experienced House of Rep member from Plateau State made those allegations that the way they removed House of Rep members from their federal constituencies in Plateau, the pattern showed that there probably may be some kind of grand conspiracies. But we hope that at this level, this fresh appeal verdicts will move to the Supreme Court, and from the Supreme Court we will know exactly the positions of these states and what will be held of their future. Now let's cross over to Osun State again, where there is a controversial development within the state, and this one is tied to the executive governor. Osun Judge rejects Governor Adeleke's appointment as acting chief judge of the state. Now, David Afolabi, who was named the acting chief judge of Osun State by Governor of Osun State, by Governor Ademola Adeleke, after the purported suspension of the substantive holder of the office, has rejected the appointment. And you want to know why? Well, before then, it was learned that Mr. Afolabi has communicated his decision not to accept the appointment to the National Judicial Council, NJC, the body statutorily empowered to play the central role in the appointment and discipline of Nigerian judges. Now, Mr. Afolabi's grounds about his appointment as the acting chief judge is that it was done by the governor without NJC's input as prescribed in the Nigerian Constitution and judicial precedents, providing an insight into why the scheduled swearing in the acting chief judge has failed to hold. Excuse me. Governor Adeleke had suspended the chief judge, recall, that is Adekbele Ojo, a woman, on Thursday over allegations of misconduct, abuse of power, corruption, and disregard for the rule of law of assembly. Now, announcing the development in a statement, the governor's spokesperson, Rashid Olawale, said Mr. Adeleke approved the resolution of the State House of Assembly passed on the 16th of November, which was a Thursday, asking Mrs. Ojo to, according to him, and I quote, step aside pending investigation of allegations against her. The statement signed by Mr. Olawale reproduced the House of Assembly's resolution in which it was stated that asking Mrs. Ojo to step aside was, quote, not for any discipline. Assembly tasked its Committee on Judiciary, Public Petitions and Legal Matters on the House of Assembly to investigate the petitions against Mrs. Ojo. Now, it asked the committee to invite the Chief Judge and report to the House. With another statement by a spokesperson announced the appointment of Mr. Afolabi as the acting Chief Judge, complying with the House of Assembly's resolution that the next in order of seniority to Justice Adegbele Ojo be sworn in immediately to avoid any vacuum in the third arm of government in Osun State. But with Mr. Afolabi's rejection of the appointment, the swearing-in of the acting Chief Judge scheduled to be presided over by the state's Deputy Governor on Friday failed to happen. Now, the Osun State government has doubled down on its actions in the matter, pushing back criticisms of its disobedience to a court order earlier stopping Mrs. Ojo's suspension in the third. We're talking about Mr. Oluomo Alimi, denied the state government's knowledge of any pending case at this material moment. According to him, he also said, and I quote, the Osun State House of Assembly that confirmed the appointment of Mrs. Adegbele Ojo and asked her to step aside is not a party to any ongoing case or court order, end of quote. I continue. He said in a statement that the step affirmed Governor Adeleke has not defied any court order, according to him, and maintained that the State House of Assembly has the constitutional right to investigate the allegations against the Chief Judge. According to him, the allegations include misappropriation of funds and petitions filed by judiciary staff members and other employees of the state government. He said the House of Assembly, being the body that appropriated the allegedly misused funds, with some of the petitioners being under his authority, has the constitutional right to investigate the Chief Judge based on the allegations. Now, he insisted that the Chief Judge was not suspended by the governor, who, he said, only acted on the resolution of the House of Assembly. We reassure the public that appropriate representation has been made to National Judicial Council over the development, and we affirm that the Chief Judge was not suspended by the governor. It urged the House of the Assembly to inform the public, the NJC, and the governor about its findings on conclusions of its investigation and also make resolutions on the next line of action. Now, meanwhile, some key actors in the justice sector, including the Nigerian Bar Association, have condemned both suspension of Mrs. Ojo and the subsequent appointment of Mr. Afolabi as acting Chief Judge. Now, the NBA said the action of the governor not only negated the principle of separation of powers, but also disregarded a court order Mrs. Ojo had obtained on order of the National Industrial Court of Nigeria in Ibadan, Oyo State, on 15th of November, stopping any moves by Governor Adeleke, the State House of Assembly, and other relevant institutions and officials of the state from removing her from office. Now, NBA said on Friday that it unequivocally condemns, according to them, the unlawful actions, adding that the provision of the Nigerian Constitution are not ambiguous as to the way and manner a Chief Judge of a state could be removed from office. Now, it noted that the tenure of a judicial officer is not subject to the mood of the politician, added that the judge cannot be appointed or removed from office without recourse to the NJC. According to the NBA, a Supreme Court decision has clearly stated that the Chief Judge of a state cannot be removed under any guise, including the infamous step-aside style by the Osun State government, and without recourse to the NJC. Therefore, the NBA said it would not recognize the acting Chief Judge appointed by the governor. And that's a serious matter, because as we speak, it means that there is some form of imbalance in the three tiers of government in Osun State, as the judiciary is yet to have its own state chief judge. But so far so good. A lot of people have praised Adeleke for his efforts so far, while a few have condemned this particular action, calling it authoritarian or despotic. We hope that before the end of the week, a lot of developments will be emanating from Osun. I will keep you posted. All right, if you are just tuned in, it's Political Spectrum on Spectrum Television. Remember that as we speak, this program is live on YouTube and also very interactive on all our social media handles, especially and including X. Remember, you can make your comments and we will have it and probably respond to it, or probably even read your opinion if it is if it is connected with what we're doing. We'll go on a short break thereafter. We'll be right back to put some conversations or put some meat or substance to these developments. Stay tuned. Join us again.
For premium broadcasts and entertainment, sports on the go, and news around the world, watch Spectrum TV on StarTimes DTH channel 421 and free-to-air frequency 127. Broadening your horizon.
Today in the judgment, we did not hear anything about nomination. Everything that was said in this court today was about sponsorship. And of course, we know that when you mention sponsorship, it could be pre-election or post-election. But when you talk about nomination, the courts do not have any jurisdiction to entertain it as a post-election matter. Today in the judgment, we did not hear anything about nomination. Everything that was said in this court today was about sponsorship. And of course, we know that when you mention sponsorship, it could be pre-election or post-election. But when you talk about nomination, the courts do not have any jurisdiction to entertain it as a post-election matter. Today in the judgment, we did not hear anything about nomination. Everything that was said in this court today was about sponsorship. And of course, we know that when you mention sponsorship, it could be pre-election or post-election. But when you talk about nomination, the courts do not have it.
All right, we are now joined by Citizen MKO, Citizen Matthew Kofi Okono, Executive Director, Open Forum, member of civil society and the public affairs analyst, who's going to be joining us virtually from the metropolis of Uyo. Citizen, good morning to you. You look good.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good to be here.
Yeah, same here. So how was your weekend? Let's start from your weekend. Let's start from you.
Thank you.
How was the weekend?
I think we did a private chat, and I told you, no weekends for me. The workload is enormous, quite enormous, and I'm not tired. I won't be tired until I make my contribution to nation building.
May you
weekends.
May you continue to draw strength. And like we've said, once the developments
Amen.
are here, let's share it and make the world know. Anyway, basically,
Absolutely.
Yeah, basically today will just be on the state of affairs of the nation. If you noticed, there were developments across the geopolitical zones, talking about the states, talking about the Supreme Court, the appeal court verdicts on some states, some very, very sensitive and flashy states. You know, amongst a few other developments, Oshun sacking the chief judge and putting a fresh person, and the NJC kicking and saying you didn't follow the procedure. NBA also supporting the NJC. But we'll start from somewhere. I just want your general assessment. Now, recently it has been observed and as well criticized that the ruling party APC may be trying to bring Nigeria back into a one-party state. The arguments are strong. Even one House of Rep member from Plateau made these same allegations just a few months ago, as the same wind affected PDP House of Rep members. Now, how do you see these allegations? And from the results that are coming out from the appeals and the tribunal, coming from the most disputed election cycle ever, 94% petition cases of all elections, what would you really say, citizen?
Thank you very much once again. Before I go to share my thoughts on your question, I want to do a birthday shout out to the father of modern Akwa Ibom, His Excellency Architect Obong Victor Atta. He is 85 today. Today is Monday, the 20th day of November 2023, and we are going to celebrate him with a colloquium put up by Uyo Book Club. So, Obong Atta has been a blessing to Akwa Ibom State and a blessing to Nigeria. He has championed so many battles. Even at this age of 85, he's still championing that battle for the practice of federalism, physical federalism, which is really the way forward. So, having said that,
yes,
I'm praying that God will
huge
give him
congratulations,
more years in good health.
Citizen, huge congratulations to him, long life and prosperity. I understand he's an architect and father of the modern Akwa Ibom. We also want to use this opportunity from this platform to wish him well and hope that he stays stronger and remains to enjoy all the dividends. And I also want to remind you, citizens, that today is my wedding anniversary. I'm congratulating myself and my wife and my family also. So it's been some celebrations all the same. But let's move on into the big story now.
Come. Congratulations. And I think we need to add to that as well. Today happens to be the birthday of His Excellency, former President Jonathan.
Wow.
So
it's a great day.
It's a loaded day.
It's a great day.
Yeah, congratulations to President Jonathan.
Yeah, congratulations to him.
Yes, yes. Back to the issue that you asked about a possible drift of Nigeria to a one-party state.
Yes, as alleged.
The first thing we must know and accept is that we do not yet have political parties in Nigeria. What we have has been vehicles for politicians of different shades and opinion to board to their various destinations and disembark at will, even midway, and do round tripping and all of that. So we cannot say we are going to have a one-party state, except we are trying to say that we are about to have the strongest ever president
Okay, I'm sure.
Called himself.
Okay, I'm sure you get me.
President.
I'm sure you get me correctly. Of course, taking this argument from the ideology of the parties is a very sophisticated one. This question comes on the auspices of the fact that certain opposition political parties are accusing the ruling party of forcing themselves on and foisting themselves on the people that do not want them. And even after losing out, like I said, the allegations, they go back and join hands with the judiciary to ensure that those of their representatives, whether governor, House of Rep, or House of Assembly, come back, indirectly transforming the entire political landscape into something that seems like a one-party state. So there are allegations. We are talking about it from the political ideology is very sophisticated, but I'm talking about allegations this time. Yes, go on, citizen.
Let me go to allegations. Yes.
Yes.
One of the sectors we may have to feel concerned, and people should be interested in asking questions, has to do with what is going on in Plateau State. I discovered as at last week, between 3 to 5 senatorial and House of Representatives elections that were concluded have been overturned, including that of the former governor.
That's right.
Who is a serving minister.
That's right.
Lalong. He has now been given the ticket, return the certificate to go to the Senate, taken from the PDP. And it's a thing of concern. And the latest being that of the governor. There's something that is going on there, which should call for concern, because going by the kind of judgment we had at the Presidential Tribunal up to the Supreme Court, I personally did not even see other people losing cases in court. I was expecting that others who have lost their cases in court may have to go back to court and say, please revisit my case where such is applicable. So it calls for concern, indeed. But like I laid the foundation, even those people that have lost or claim they have taken away their mandate with an attempt, which is seen as an attempt by the incumbent party, the APC, to force itself on the people, even though they have been rejected in some places, as they claim, they might tomorrow even decamp to the same party. So the mental state of the people who feel they have been robbed, it calls to question how you'll be able to support them and not look like a fool along the line. So, but for me, what is going on in Plateau State it's the APC or the judiciary for doing the wrong thing, whereas they may be doing a revolution. Yes. So it's a thing of concern, honestly speaking. And I personally, I didn't have much time to want to look at the number of people that have been removed from office there. But it's very peculiar. It's very peculiar, and it should not be left like that. It should be discussed at the highest level. And if the judgments are questionable, they should be called out. The judiciary is under trial, has been under trial for several years now, and it's not the time to say, let us shy away, because what matters is the country that we have, which we must secure, and not the interest of individuals or any party or partisan vehicle that people use to get to public office, which they even end up not using for public good.
I quite agree with you, which was why I situated in the first paragraph of this conversation that looking at it from the political ideology point of view was more of an academic or intellectually driven argument. But suffice to say, I do not think that it has gotten to that level, because here is political parties who don't have ideologies accusing other political parties of turning the entire political realm, into a one-party state, especially by the court rulings. And remember, we also said that this entire general elections, maybe including the off-cycle elections, is going to throw up what we feel will be the most argued or the most dissatisfied election cycle ever, with 94 cases of petitions in court. And this is a very serious matter, but still on play two. I like the way you deposit it. Still on play two. It has, if you check the political patterns and the results and the outcomes, I think play two has been more of a PDP state. Yes, Simon Lalong, I think, won as PDP and then crossed over to the APC, and ever since then he's been enjoying himself. Maybe he came in the second tenure as APC, I can't really recall now, but the trend in play two has been that of PDP, and even some very, very key North Central states. So just with a monosyllable, will you say that these criticisms may be holding some water, or yet it's another outcry from someone who has lost in court, talking about those people criticizing the court cases and how their political party representatives are being removed? Would you say there may be something in that cry, or is it yet again another a set of politicians lamenting because they couldn't get what they wanted to get? Citizen.
I think there's the substance in the cry, just as there are substances in allegations that the election that we if the things that went on there, like we are seeing on social media, is anything to go by, we have just descended to a very terrible level where people will do whatever they can to get into public office, because the new mantra that has been popularized by Mahmoud, the INEC chairman, go to court, has become a mantra which, if you don't imbibe, then you are not fit to even aspire. There are too many questions to be asked, and that is why the civil society and the political office seekers themselves, who have access to informations that will strip these people bare in public. We saw how an aide to one of the contestants, I think in Bayelsa, at least from the social media, what we have available on social media, it was stripped pure naked, which is not the best thing to have been done anyway. But when you are able to bring facts that shows that this person who contested was not even qualified to contest in the first place, this person who has been declared winner, the process of his emergence is
probably questionable.
So terrible, so more than questionable, very glaring. You cannot go into an election with an electoral act, with the constitution, and at the end of the day, even the court says the INEC is independent, they can put whatever rule they want. So we are in trouble, And until those things are corrected, like you've seen what has happened in Liberia, the sitting president has just become the second, I think the second man in Africa to willingly
be defeated and concede. Yes. President George Oponwe has been unseated in a very, very tight margin.
Accept the running away with ballot boxes. Yeah, running away with ballot boxes is strange in Liberia, and that's funny in Africa. Whereas that was what we're trying to stop by pushing for the 2022 amended Electoral Act, so that if you run away with the ballot box, it's waste of time because the beavers had done the job. But here we are. The beavers has been rubbished, transmission of result rubbished. So you can run away with the ballot box. We've seen some things online where one of the states, the accreditation on beavers was like 3, and then the results, final results submitted by INEC is maybe 300. We had passed that level. So those that are taking us there are people, even if they're in power, whatever role they are playing should be seen as having been stripped naked, as being hoodlums or bandits, power bandits, or whatever other name. But yet still, for me, I am a patriot. Partisan politics is different from governance. So by the time anybody emerges and the court says this person is the winner, he has to stay, citizens must come together to see how they can influence governance. It may be tough because the same people are not coming to serve citizens. They are going to do everything possible to intimidate, and to their contributions to nation or state building will be seen as attack on government. But nobody should shy away from governance. Governance issue is not about where you came from, how you came, or you are a criminal, you are a fraudster, you are an ex-convict, or whatever you are. It does not matter. Once you are there, it's about the people's resources, and the people must be able to ask questions and demand for answers for a period such people will be in office. But a summary is that what is going on currently demands attention, not just from within, but from the international community.
It really calls for a lot of concern. And one of my takeaway from some of the arguments you posited is the issue of the beavers and the IRF being rubbished. But yet again, a lot of people have come out to argue yet again that for us to ensure the effectiveness of those electronic devices, we will now go back to the National Assembly and entrench it with specificities in our constitution. And I quite agree with that, because the Electoral Act really mentions some technological devices, but is not specific enough. Because if you look at even the Supreme Court judgment case, in as much as they say INEC said it will, the Supreme Court case held that it is not binded constitutionally to that. It is. So in other words, I'm not a lawyer, but that's the deduction. In other words, they are mere promises, and because INEC has not been able to do it, has not translated into crime. So I quite agree with you, and I feel that the National Assembly yet again has a major role to play in deepening those laws, you know, so that the Electoral Act, which has just been amended, does not go to waste. Because as it is now, it is almost completely irrelevant, because everything that people held and believed in and ran with, you know, that increased or improved on their confidence, everything was eroded and scraped away, you know, from the Supreme Court verdicts. All right, let's quickly move into Kano.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's quickly move into Kano. NNPP, sorry, that had above 1 million votes and has been holding sway in Kano State, defeating the APC that has now become opposition, has it again. The courts have removed them, I think, for a second time. I think the first time they appealed. The appeal now has removed the governor again, and they vowed that they will go as far as the Supreme Court to ensure that they exhaust all the legal tools at their disposal. But here you are again. Of course, there's been hearsays here and there yet again that the emergence of the immediate past governor as the APC national chairman is greatly influencing, using the instruments of the presidency. There are allegations, like I said, using the instrumentations of the presidency to wield the judgments in their favor. Now they are arguing that there's about 165 invalidated votes based on the fact that they were duplicated or they were forged or they were fake. And the NNPP is kicking and saying there is no such thing, that even if it exists, it is not enough to remove them from court. So I want you to just give us a general overview of how you see the bustling city of Kano that has arguably the largest or the highest number of local government areas in Nigeria. Citizen.
Yes. The situation in Kano is going to be a test case on several fronts. The first, we must split between two different regimes. He's been a minister for defense, and eventually he could not get ticket of the PDP. He just ran to the NNPP, having to do with His Excellency Rabiu Kwakwanzo, and the